Alright guys, welcome back to Formula 1 news, and after loads of rumours the last couple of months, it seems that Porsche and Audi both will be entering Formula 1 for 2026. Apparently Porsche want to partner up with Red Bull. What might that look like? We'll dive into it here in a few minutes time. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new. As always, it is race week once again. We're going to Miami for the first time. This is the details here for Ferrari, so the tyre compounds they're going to be going with. This is the overview of the track. The start-finish straight is here. Very kind of tricky first sector. Then it goes into a kind of interesting sector 3 actually, where a lot of drivers have had their thoughts being known on this one, whether these corners are too slow. But again, massive back straight. Definitely some potentially interesting overtaking opportunities here. I think Bottas is rather happy with how this might be playing out. But look, we'll see. Most US Grand Prix, for example, like the former Vegas one, was basically a car park. This to me doesn't look like a car park, even though yes, the marina is fake and that the water doesn't actually exist. Like it still might be a good track. I guess we'll have to see how it fares this weekend. This is actually kind of the overview from a purely like what it looks like more from a satellite perspective. This is the back straight, this is the start-finish straight, and yeah, some swooping long straights on the backside. So we'll see how this goes. Wonder what kind of downforce setup will be more preferable here, right? Because in almost like Jeddah in a way, maybe there's a lot of good straights, there's a lot of long straights, but there's some also tricky sections. There has also been some questions. Could it be raining it this weekend again? We saw in Imola it rained. If anything, it made that weekend worse, just because, okay, qualifying was interesting, but on the race on Sunday, of course, like, the rain wouldn't really dry up as we'd liked it to. DRS wasn't activated as maybe it could have been, and also there was, only one real dry part on the straight, so people couldn't really overtake as well as they might have been able to. And unfortunately, it didn't start tipping it down with 10 laps to go. Then of course, things sort of got pretty crazy. But as Lapcars point out right here, at least this is based on yesterday, the forecast implied that there's a decent chance of potential rain in Miami from Friday, Sunday, whatever. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, it's not off the cards that we could have an interesting race weekend in terms of rain, and better than we got in Imola, of course. Just wanted to mention this actually as well over at motorsport.com, because they talk about at least some of the drivers have been giving their thoughts on the track. We saw what Gasly said yesterday, so it looks pretty awesome. At least he likes the layout in terms of what he's seen from the simulator. Sergio Perez says, I think it's a good circuit. That's a bit of a twisty area that's quite difficult to get right. Visibility can be difficult though, but I think racing can be good with those long straights. Hope the asphalt is good. We can have some good racing and maybe some good few surprises as well. Yuki Tsunoda says it's really different, especially in sector 3. Very tight corners. If a safety car happens, it's going to be a real traffic jam there. It's quite an interesting concept, but hopefully overtaking will be good for this track. And also Valtteri Bottas says it seems like it's going to be a good track for overtaking, right? So I guess that'll be a welcome kind of surprise if that is the case. Hopefully it is. And as he says, yeah, it should be good racing, pretty long straights, couple of really good overtaking opportunities, I reckon. So exciting stuff, I think, going into this weekend. Now let's dive into this, the main news of the day. Porsche and Audi officially confirmed by the kind of Volkswagen, who I'm pretty sure own both companies nowadays, both car brands, has basically said yes. They've kind of been talking about this for quite some time. They believe this realistically is their final chance to get in. They've been crunching the numbers. They've tried to figure out, okay, this probably is going to be good from a business point of view. They're probably not going to lose money doing this. So let's go for it. Now, of course, who they're going to partner with or how exactly this looks is yet to be determined. We're a few years away from 2026. That's when the kind of new engine regulations come into effect. We'll see what they might be here in a second. But again, Porsche and Red Bull might have a partnership underway, and Audi are still looking for a partner to make that whole thing work out. So there's VW CEO points out that Porsche's preparation to enter Formula 1 a little more concrete right now than what Audi are trying to do. We'll see that here in a second. But yeah, these are some of the details if you guys are unfamiliar with the story. So how are these two brands into F1? The rumour has it that Red Bull and Porsche are going to try and do something together. We'll see this in more detail here in just a second, but potentially now it's kind of not Honda anymore, it's Red Bull powertrains or whatever. They might be having some relationship there with Porsche. On the other side, Audi, I believe they had a fair bit of talk with McLaren. They wanted to do a deal with McLaren, either buy them out or do something or other. And now that apparently has fallen through, they're talking to Aston Martin, they're talking to Williams, they're talking to Sauber as well, to kind of Alfa Romeo, to see if something could work out over there. So it's been a very long time since these two brands have been in Formula 1. They are coming back, it seems, for 2026. Now also this talk has been around the new engine formula. They've certainly already talked about what they want to do in the aero department, right, kind of reducing car dimensions, reducing or containing the car mass as it is right now. So basically quicker, or not necessarily quicker, the car's pretty quick already, but smaller, lighter cars, easier to overtake. And also one of the key points is kind of sustainability and efficiency, this type of stuff. That's kind of what they're thinking on the engine side. They wanted to say, okay, let's have 100% sustainable fuel, this type of stuff. So there's definitely going to be some engine changes, of course, in 2026. Also, the car's going to look different as well. It's yeah, probably the good time, perfect time for these two companies to come into the mix. But how that looks, of course, is unclear, as Lapcars points out as well from Motorsport as well, that Audi and McLaren are now considered unlikely to be coming to a partnership. They're talking to Aston Martin, talking to Sauber, talking to Williams. Apparently maybe a Sauber kind of Alfa Romeo partnership might well be what happens there between Audi and Sauber. Of course, there's a long way to go on this front, but this arguably I thought was more interesting, the thoughts about the Red Bull Racing partnership with Porsche, right? So what does this look like? If Red Bull and Porsche kind of partner up, they work on the engines together or whatever that might exactly look like, because I'm pretty sure when Porsche were last involved, they were working on the engine engines for one particular team back in the day, and they reckon they're planning to take, apparently, a 50% stake in Red Bull Racing's shares. Now, Red Bull Racing, not a publicly traded company, but you can still take shares or take ownership in a privately traded company. That might be what Porsche is trying to do here. Now, look, whether Red Bull Racing actually kind of agreed to that or let that happen, because, you know, I wonder what that means for the naming of the team. You'd imagine the naming of the team would be the Red Bull Porsche Racing Team, or, you know, whatever other sponsors and stupid stuff they have in addition to that. But, you know, maybe the team doesn't want to give up those kind of naming rights. Like, that might be pretty, not necessarily damaging to Red Bull, right? But, like, right now, in terms of marketing and stuff for their core product, the energy drinks, it's very good that they have kind of Red Bull Racing as its standalone brand, effectively, in Formula 1. I'm sure, especially after the last couple of years, last year especially, it's done rather well for them. So, like, you know, that's the thing. Do they want to come to an arrangement like this? If Porsche have a lot of money on the table, then it's certainly a possibility. But, yeah, you wouldn't imagine they want to give up quite a stake like this. But still, it just does go to show that Porsche are seriously interested, right, in making something like this happen with Red Bull. So that definitely does seem to be the partnership that's coming through. Like, I mean, look, Red Bull's kind of Honda, Red Bull Powertrain's engine has been rather, well, unreliable so far this season, but certainly very powerful, right up there with Ferrari, and, you know, of course, the Mercedes falling off the pace a little bit this year, and it does definitely seem like they've kind of produced an engine that is, well, far above where the rest of the midfield are right now. So with Porsche backing them up as well, you'd think they might get even better, right? So maybe a scary prospect for kind of the rest of the grid if the Porsche Red Bull Racing thing does go through. As well, Porsche certainly want to get in. Red Bull is pretty much the only target, and as even the CEO himself was saying of VW, that, like, yeah, Porsche have pretty much confirmed what they want to do. Their plan is pretty much set in stone. This also thought was kind of interesting from the same Volkswagen CEO, eventually mentioning that it's always the case that a driver from the right country can be very successful in that country, and Formula 1 becomes very popular. We will try and employ German drivers in our two teams, right? So Volkswagen, like Audi, and of course Porsche, like whoever they partner with, right? Porsche, let's say they go to Red Bull, and Audi aren't going to be with McLaren, but let's say Aston Martin or whoever it might be, they're going to try and have German drivers in those two teams. That does create some interesting complications. Now, look, seemingly Sebastian Vettel is probably not going to be competing still, we would think at the very least, when these partnerships come into effect, but apparently there were some rumours going around that he's been speaking to Red Bull about potentially returning there. I can't imagine that's realistically going to happen, right? I'm sure they're kind of sticking with Perez at least for the next couple of years, and yeah, I don't really know where these rumours came from, but he's denied that these rumours exist at all. But still, like a guy like Sebastian Vettel to Red Bull, like let's say he was still competing and he does an Alonso, like in a few years' time when this kind of partnership does come into effect, who knows whether Porsche say, okay, we want a German driver, let's get him back in. Also creates, you know, some implications for Mick Schumacher or someone. Like, there's a few potential targets out there and on the grid and stuff that might well find themselves at a Red Bull or potentially another team as well if Audi partner with them, right? So some interesting implications here, really, that the team is saying may well be down the pipeline if, well, if they do come in, of course, in 2026, as we certainly expect it to happen at the present time. This also, just because we're speaking about Red Bull, thought it was interesting to mention just what Adrian Newey had to say, of course, at the chief designer cover on the Red Bull side. He had a few things to say in this article. One of them was about Max Verstappen, right? And the fact that he's always able to get the maximum out of the car. He says what's great about Max is you always know what the car's capable of because he always gets in it and absolutely wrings its neck. His feedback is good. He's very aware of what the tyres are doing and how to manage them. Now, I'm, you know, kind of also talking about Max and the kind of battle with Hamilton last year. This I thought was rather interesting, actually. I think his reputation for being wild is unfair. Probably what he did last year in Brazil was a little bit naughty. Saudi was silly, but I think he got frustrated with Lewis not overtaking him. You guys remember that, you know, Verstappen basically wanted to, he got told to let Hamilton overtake him. He braked, and the idea was that he wanted to make sure Hamilton went through the DRS line first, so then he could get him back on the straight. And even if that happens, like, there's no way the FIA were going to look at that and say, okay, that was a fair, like, you know, fair giving back of the place when he's just got DRS and passed him again on the straight if that did happen. Obviously, Hamilton figured out what was going on, didn't want to overtake him, and then you have the whole brake test situation. You know, Lewis at the time said he brake tested me, like that was Mercedes' claim. The FIA didn't see it like that because usually a brake test in the wording of a brake test is basically like a disqualification or, you know, really serious punishments that Verstappen didn't really get because it was unclear whether he did actually brake test him. But Adrian Newey just says, yeah, he shouldn't have brake tested him. So basically kind of agreeing that he did brake test Lewis, which, you know, maybe there's some implications there that people have certainly been talking about. But here, who also goes on to talk about Hamilton, right? A professional foul by Hamilton, knocking him off the track. So people seem to have a short memory. The kind of beef and drama from last season just never seems to end, to be perfectly honest. This on the Mercedes side of that, they thought this was kind of interesting. Like, I mean, look, Toto Wolff is never going to say in a million years, oh yes, the fact that a load of our engineers got bought out by Red Bull, like, that's made us worse because the brain drain is gone. So, like, the idea of a brain drain is your best talent has gone elsewhere. Therefore, like, your car's not going to be as good as you don't have the best engineers working on the design. Like, obviously, Wolff isn't going to say, yeah, we lost all our best guys and now we're basically doomed forever, right? Like, he's obviously not going to say that. So I do always wonder why they ask these type of questions. But again, he basically says, look, it's the current struggles we're having are not to do with the fact that a load of a kind of engineers departed from Mercedes and a lot of them went Red Bull's way because I'm pretty sure they were offering a load more money. And just to finish out with this as well, new circuit conquerors, just speaking of Mercedes, thought this is kind of incredible actually. From 2014, 2016, when Sochi, Baku, and other tracks have come into the mix, really new circuits over the last several years. All 6 of those, since it kind of in the turbo hybrid era, have been won by Mercedes. Miami, of course, is coming in this upcoming weekend. Doubt that record will continue, but still a pretty good record to have nonetheless. Very much enjoyed your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new as always. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you next time.